Hey everyone, so an AI agent without memory is just a calculator, right? As we discussed in the last video. So it can solve one request, but the moment you move to the next, it forgets everything you just discussed, right? So in production, this is where most systems actually fall apart. So if your agent doesn't have any persistency, you are not just building a tool, you are just building a one-shot bot, if I will say, if I emphasize. So today we are going to architect the memory layer. So how to store a state, user context behind it, and long-term knowledge so that your agents act like persistent and reliable employees. Okay. So most tutorials teach you to append those chat history to the prompt, right? And uh, and that works for a toy project, right? But in enterprise, you have thousands of users and multi-day workflows, and you need to distinguish between a short-term context, for example, the current session, and the long-term memory, which is, let's say, the user's history and the global knowledge, if I say. And if you shove everything into the prompt, your latency and cost will explode. Okay, so this is something that you have to keep in mind. And the blueprint, if I want to give you, is the for the production grade memory layer is something that we use we use a hybrid approach. So here, what happens for semantic memory? This stores user preferences, okay, and past documents and conversations that the agent can search via embeddings. Okay, and if I talk about the graph database, you have to think that for entity memory, agents need to know who belongs to what, right? And this is very, very important to know. And if you're building a B2B app, for example, the graph database keeps track of the relationships between users, teams, and documents. And this dual layer approach allows the agent to retrieve relevant history without even dragging around those useless noise, right? And the state management is the secret sauce here. Okay, it's working as a secret sauce over here, and we are not just saving messages, but we are actually saving the agent state. And this includes the agents, for example, current task status, and for example, the gathered info, or even the summary of the intersection so far. So here, for example, how I think that, for example, I'm implementing this in LangGraph, where we define a schema that persists to a database. And if the agent, for example, crashes or the user is disconnected, then we simply just rehydrate the state from the database, and the agent picks up exactly where it left off. Okay, so this was something that I wanted to mention. And then and this is how you turn your AI into a persistent multi-day worker, and it's no longer about a single prompt anymore. Okay, so it's about a continuous workflow. And in the next and final episode of this series, we are covering the last piece of puzzle that I want to mention, which is observability. Okay, so we will see how to log every single thought the agent has, okay, so that you can debug why it made a mistake. Yeah, so subscribe, because that's the final step to moving your agent from development to your production. So yeah, so that's all for the today. See you in the next video. Tara.